Coming up on this episode of Audacity to Lead. So what I want you to actually understand is this. Can you combine any of them, or can you combine some of them? And actually, my answer is yes. Absolutely, you can. In fact, almost every entrepreneur I know is a combination of 1, 2, or 3 of these archetypes.
Inspiring, actionable content that helps you get focused, get started, and be impactful. This is Audacity to Lead.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Audacity to Lead. My name is Dio Samuel and I am your host. This is the podcast where I give you the courage and necessary insight to step out and lead with more influence. Of course, like you already know, my focus for this season is to help you make a ton of difference while making a ton of profit. And so towards helping you get that goal, my intention today is to share with you on a topic, a very, very simple topic, which has to do with 9 archetypes to jumpstart your online business. It's actually about business models that you can run with as you set up your business online. And it's very important that you get to understand this, because I've seen persons who started online business, but because there wasn't a model to follow, it became very difficult for them to actually earn something. The first time I came across the word business model was back in 2014, but I couldn't understand it very well then until I had the chance to have a chat with Coach Sam Obafemi here, and he referred me to one of his products which I got, and then by listening to that I understood what business model really is. And from that I began to find out if the models he taught were applicable to a brick and mortar business. What kind of model will be applicable to an online business? And that's how I came about these 9 different models I'm going to be sharing with you. So you are welcome to this episode. Welcome. Today is the 1st of February 2016, and I want to say thank you for tuning in again. So just to get started and to get going, it is quite important that you understand that a business model is actually how a business is set up to make money. And I think I should repeat that. A business model is how a business is set up to make money. Now, over the weekend, I was at a summit hosted by Razak Adekoya, and I was brought in to speak on a particular topic on digital disruption, a new approach to business model innovation. And some of the things I taught them there, in fact, some of the things I'm going to be sharing on this particular episode are some of the things I taught them there. So you are going to be getting the benefits of 2 things right now. However, this particular episode is focused on just strictly online business and how you can run it. A couple of days ago, I came across a website called diapers.com, diapers.com. It's set up as an e-commerce store. They only sell baby diapers. Of course, it would be normal to say it won't sell, but the advantage this company had was linked to birthrate, which of course increases at a steady rate. So they concluded that over the first 2 years of a child's life, he or she will need to use a lot of diapers. And that is how their business model is centered around e-commerce. So that means that once they get a new customer, they try as much as possible to retain that customer for the next 2 years. And that means steady revenue. I hope you get that. So that's the business model that diapers.com run with. And as we go on, I'm going to share with you how some businesses actually follow each of these models, each of these archetypes to run their businesses. I think a week or 2 weeks back, I was in the incubators by Chinoso Ogbogu, and I got to hear about Giddy Cakes. The co-founder of Giddy Cakes was with us in that meeting. So when he was talking about Giddy Cakes is into cake making, and Giddy Cakes is a business right here in Nigeria. Giddy Cakes is into cake making. The office is somewhere around Surulere. Now, Giddy Cakes makes cakes, but their uniqueness is in having different cake templates which can be customized to fit customers' themes. That is, if you see a particular cake design and you like it, and that cake design is just, let's say the cake design is romantic, so to say, and you want to celebrate your birthday or you want to celebrate someone's birthday, you can get that cake with that romantic appeal and then customize it to fit the birthday that you're celebrating. So that's how their own business runs, and they basically use Instagram as their major avenue to reach their customers. And from what he said, actually, it looks like they will use more of Instagram. So he said that once the customer likes the picture, makes an order, they deliver to the customer at the chosen location. Now, that looks like a business model also, and you are going to understand that particular business model as we go on. So, at this point, I want to share with you the 9 business archetypes. Of course, how to choose a business model that makes sense, especially this time that we are in. You must understand that the kind of model your business is centered around is what will help you be profitable. And so I'm going to be sharing with you these 9 different archetypes that you can follow. Now, the first, I think I have to give a little credit here in my study, research, and trying to find out. I came across, what's his name again? Daryl Bryan of Profitcast, where he actually talked about these models. And I think I also got to listen to the Fizzle show by, I've forgotten these 2 guys' name. Okay. From Fizzle show and from some other places, I got to learn all of these things and began to see, okay, this looks like this looks like this looks like this looks like that. And that's how I'm able to come about these 9 archetypes. And so, as I share with you, I want you to actually pay close attention, learn as much as you can from these, and of course, find a way to make it work in your own case. So, number 1 is the edupreneur. Now, edupreneur is spelled as EDUPRENUER, just like an entrepreneur, but this is the edupreneur. Now, the edupreneur researches specific topics, tactics, and strategies to help our customers solve specific problems. So, rather than delivering them through freelancing or traditional books, the teacher, the edupreneur, uses digital products like ebooks, online courses, and membership sites to push out his knowledge, her wisdom. Now, I think I should give a couple of examples here. I think I'm an example of an edupreneur because I'm using podcasts, ebooks, online courses, and also working on membership site right now. I'm using that to push out my knowledge. And another person that I think easily comes to mind is a lady by the name Stephanie Obi. Now, she runs this model also. She may not be aware of this actually, but I think that's what she's doing. And that's number 1. So number 2 is the mediapreneur. Now, the mediapreneur is somebody who can take as many forms. And actually, this person includes the podcaster, the newsletter curator, or food blogger. Now, what ties all of this together is their source of income, which is basically from affiliate marketing, advertising, donations, and sponsorships. This person may not create anything at all, but he has a platform that people can come and advertise stuff on. Someone in this particular case could be like Linda Ikeji, Bella Niger, Okechukwu Ofili of Ofili Speaks. Now, these three are practical examples, and I think one other person like that could also be. Okay, let me backtrack a little. When I talked about Edupreneur the other time, I think Adesoji Adegbolu of MMO.ng is also an example of an Edupreneur. Now, back to Mediapreneur. A Mediapreneur is actually is making money from their content in a way that the audience is actually the product they are selling. They only write a content to promote what the person has paid them to do. For example, Linda Keji was paid to use Goodluck Jonathan's adverts on our blog around when election campaign was going on. She was paid to do that. Now, she is a mediapreneur. She doesn't have any content that actually changes life, so to say, but she has the platform that people can pay to get on. So that's the mediapreneur. Now, number 3 is the freelancer. Now, talking about the freelancer is someone who has a specific skill, has some level of expertise in a particular field, and is willing to help others build their businesses. In fact, he uses her skills to build other people's businesses. Now, common freelancing examples could be editors, that is, script editors, web designers, web developers, social media marketing, social media management, photographers, copywriting, or business consulting. Now, I came across a guy on my BBM some weeks back, I think some months back actually, that runs capeworks.com, CAPEWORX. Is basically offering graphic designs on his site. That model is a freelancing model. So, if you have, okay, my friend Oludami is also running a freelancing type of business model with his lucrativepen.com. I think I have to also keep that in mind. Now, he runs lucrativepen.com, and that's a freelance model also. But over time, he has transited it to becoming an edupreneur because now he has ebooks, he has online courses that people can take. But he initially started with freelancer. Now, I also began that way too. I also began with the freelance model when I started offering designs on the internet. People will design. In fact, how I started was I was designing square images in the form of DPs, in the form of social media adverts, and all I was requiring from people was just to send me recharge cards as payment. And I think I ran that for about 3 months before, and in about 3 months also, I think 3 to 4 months, like I said around that time, the money from those designs actually paid the money I used to buy my phone at that time. So that was what I did as a freelancer then. Now, number four this time around is the coach. Now, sometimes some people feel like coaches cannot actually make money online, or coaches may not have a model that they can use online. And actually, the coach model actually works this way. In fact, the coach helps people unlock their potentials. A coach is more interested in helping you get from where you are to where you want to be. So a coach uses tools of listening, questioning, and guiding to help his clients to reach their goals. He helps them, it takes them from where they are to where they want to be. And like I used to say those days when I started that Studio to Lead, to help you move from potential to performance. Now, this model actually differs from the freelancer in that a coach works with individual clients. A coach works with people, not with projects. A freelancer may work with projects. In fact, a freelancer could be a consultant, but the coach works with the individuals. And an example that I will find here will be someone like possibly Victor Bassi, could be an example right here. Another example that I think could also fit in here could be Stephanie Obi. Myself, I'm also in this category. I run my business now as the coach. Actually, you will eventually discover that sometimes you may combine several models. So it's not like there's a definitive, conclusive model you have to work with. There's flexibility that you can work with several models. And I think that should give a little guide on that. Number 5, I think this should be number 5. And the number 5, this is the merchant. This model is called the merchant. And this person buys and sells physical goods from other makers through storytelling and e-commerce. Now, if I ask you who is a merchant, what example of merchants do we have around here? I can say that one of the first or two names that may come to your mind almost immediately, talking about the merchants who buy and sell goods, physical goods, through e-commerce. I can tell you that you will say Konga, you will almost say Jumia. Now you are very, very correct, because Konga and Jumia actually runs a merchant model of business. And the good part is they're not the only persons running that model. I met a friend. We first got to know each other on Twitter before we got to meet physically. And he runs jumobile.com. That's JUMOBY.com. And what it does is simply sells smartphones. Phones of any types, that's what it sells. And it sells that through his site. And that's a merchant, is buying and selling physical goods from other makers through storytelling and e-commerce. Now, there is another model which will be the number 6 or the number 7. I think it should be the number 6 right now. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, this is number 7. This is the retailer. Now, talking about retail, a normal brick and mortar business, a retailer actually is someone who actually stocks goods so that they can ship out to people. Now, when it comes to online, the retailer is someone who's an entrepreneur who has been around the block and sees an opportunity to lead his industry into the digital age. Now, I think I have to backtrack and explain that again. I said the retailer is an entrepreneur who has been around the block and sees an opportunity to lead his industry into the digital age. Now, the retailer may be a real estate agent, it may be a coffee shop owner, it may be an insurance broker, who sees any of these guys see the power of the internet to grow his business and is simply using the internet to push his or her business. A very practical example of that is lamudi.com.ng. Now, lamudi.com.ng is a real estate business, but they are using the internet to promote their business because they are a retailer, coffee shop owner, insurance brokers, and service based, especially in the fact that you sell things that people can actually get physically, but you stock them. This model is called the retailer. And then number 8, there is the nerd. Now, the nerd, the archetype of the nerd is someone who will probably be a techie person. He actually has very high technical skills, and he uses his technical skills to build things for others. He uses his technical skills to build tools, appliances, applications, softwares, plugins, so that others can actually use those things. A cool example that just jumped into my mind now is the man by the name Simon Ononobi. Simon Ononobi, I actually got to meet him, I think, just a week ago. And while we were discussing, I found out that he's actually running this kind of model. He's a nerd. He likes to work with technical stuff. He likes to tinker with stuff, find a way to solve problems by providing things that people may not easily come across. And recently, he actually came up with an invention called My Ads. And that actually displays a visual pictorial image when somebody is an advert that runs basically on smartphones. Once you receive a call, or once you call somebody, I think it's when you receive a call, you receive the call, you will see an advert displayed on your phone. Now, this advert is not the type that MTN is doing. This advert is the type that you see like a normal handbill. You see it on your screen, on the screen of your phone. Now, that's that. But I think something you may easily get to understand right now is an example of a nerd at work will be Simple Pay. In fact, Simon Ononobi is the founder of Simple Pay. And Simple Pay is a payment gateway, it's a payment processor for people around here in Nigeria. Now, Simple Pay actually does the work of PayPal, since PayPal does not allow Nigerians to be paid. So Simple Pay came in and allows you to be paid as a Nigerian. Now, another example of this scenario also could be VokePay. Now, to spell Simple Pay is SIMPLEPAY. I'll put the link to the site in the show notes of this particular episode 51. You'll get it at audacitytolude.com/51. Now, VokePay is also another example. It runs almost similar to Simple Pay, almost similar to PayPal. And these guys their model is actually the nerd model, solving people's problems by developing technical stuff, tools, appliances, gadgets, apps that people can use. I think another nerd that I can remember here is also John Obidi. I think John Obidi is also another nerd. He likes to develop apps, likes to develop things that people can use. And in fact, if I have to mention John Obidi right here, John Obidi also runs as the coach, model, and is also running the mediapreneur model. And lately, he has transited into the edupreneur model. Now, I said that to say this: you will always be a bunch of models. You might not be one model throughout. That's what I want you to get. Now, I think I move on to number 8. Which is the artist. Now, there's a model called the artist. Now, who is the artist? The artist is someone who sells his paintings, photography, comics, apparels, or sculptures directly to his customers. Now, these products don't systematically teach things, but rather they represent creativity, beauty, and or emotional power. Now, people who are into music, who are setting up online platforms, are actually running the model of artists. They're not really teaching anything, but they are helping you with creativity, beauty, emotions, power. These are the things that they are into. Now, like I mentioned, these are people who are into paintings, photography, artworks, comics, graphic design, apparel, sculptures. In fact, a friend of mine by the name Otobi Arts is actually running this model called the artist. Yep. Okay, so let me at this point move forward to the last model, which is the maker. Now, this model, the maker, this person is basically a crafts person, whether a craftsman or a craftswoman. She makes jewelry in her workshop. He makes furniture in his wood shop. She creates monogrammed linings in her spare bedroom. And they use e-commerce platforms to sell their wares directly to customers. Now, what I mean is this. There's a friend of mine on BBM by the name Abiba. She runs Orion Creations as her business name. Now, she makes these beads. She makes beads and accessories, ladies' accessories. Now, once she makes them, she places them on Konga or on Jumia, and people buy from there. Now, she is running a model called the maker. She's creating those things for the e-commerce store to sell. Now, if you have ideas of creating things, you can actually follow this model, because what you're doing is you are creating stuff and you're using the e-commerce platforms to sell your work directly to customers. Now, the maker is different from the artist in that you, as the maker, you are creating something functional, something people can use. But the artist is not creating something people can use. The artist is actually creating things like impression, things like feelings, creativity, beauty, things that have to do with emotions or power. These are the things. For example, a musician, like I mentioned the other time, is running as the artist. That's the model a musician is following. But Abiba in this case, Orion Creations in this case, is running as the maker. So what I want you to actually understand is this: can you combine any of them, or can you combine some of them? And actually, my answer is yes, absolutely, you can. In fact, almost every entrepreneur I know is a combination of 1, 2, or 3 of these archetypes. You remember I mentioned John Obidi? Now, John Obidi is an online business coach. He's a social media wizard. I mean, he's actually good with social media. Now, one of the things that John does is, in fact, he may not consciously do this, but of course, understanding these models I just explained now, you realize that through Smart Big Camp teleseminar, John runs as a mediapreneur. Through smartbigcamp.com, John runs as an edupreneur, because that's a membership site. Now, with his teleseminar, he runs as a mediapreneur. He's only letting people get access to his audience. Now, as a consultant, social media consultant, is running as a freelancer. As a business coach, is running the model of the coach. And recently I began to notice adverts on his site, which means he's also running as a mediapreneur. So sometimes you are a combination of several of these archetypes, and the best you can do is actually to sit down carefully and then ask yourself, which of these actually connect with me and which of them can I explore. Now, as you go on doing that, you discover that it becomes easier for you to actually follow a model and then make some profit doing your business online. I hope this episode actually helps you get something this week. I hope it helps you get focused, get started, and be impactful this week. I look forward to seeing you again on the next episode, where I'm going to be teaching you how to... Okay, I'm going to keep that. So once again, I want to say thank you for joining me on this episode. I look forward once again to having you on the next episode. Until next week, get focused, get started, and be impactful.